Hi Alex, I'm going to work through this in-class work and you seem to be working vertically is kind of looks like how you've got this set up versus in my lectures in E360 I was working horizontally across. So I'm going to try to bend as I work here, so be patient with me, and I'm going to try to flip to vertical since that kind of seems to be how your brain is working. I'll see if I can do the same and so that we can match up some numbers here. Right here, I have copied over all of the beginning balances. And apparently I cannot scroll in. Boy, not the best at Google Docs. I am much faster in Excel. But this me typing in here, you can see my adjustments right away. I just don't know how to zoom in. Okay, so I won't zoom in. Hopefully you can read it. The general is going to be passed out to these two only, and it's by square feet. So these guys I need to look at, they are the pie, so to speak. And so our grand total piece of the pie is 19,000 square feet. So what is 5,700 divided by 19,000? 30% of the pie. All right, so then that means this must be 70% of the pie. So fabricating is then going to get 30% of the cost, and assembly is going to get 70% of the cost. And these two numbers are exactly what you have here. So I like those numbers. I think they're good. Then from there we need to take the HR costs and allocate them to these two departments as well. General is gone. That one's done for. I will mark that one off. Can I cross them out? Ha! Great. Done. Cross them off. The other department, the HR department, is going to be based on the number of employees. And the fabricating has 80 employees. Assembly has 170. So what is that? 250? 250. All right, so fabricating is 32%, which means the other guys are 68%. So that means that fabricating is going to get 32% of the cost, and assembly is going to get 68% of the cost. So that's where I wasn't quite sure where you got these numbers from, because I get these numbers. Okay? And so then the grand total, if I add up all the costs, fabricating started with that. We gave them some more from general, we gave them some more from HR, so they end with this grand total. And the other group ends with 439 for a grand total. So that's the first one. If we flip that and do the sequential method, we'll change just a couple of things. Get rid of all of that. And all of that. Okay, so the difference is with the sequential is these guys pass their costs to all three. And so we need to look at all three as being the pie that it's being distributed. So HR has 1,000 square feet, fabricating 5,700 and 13,300, which is a grand total of 20,000. So then HR is what percent of the pie of the 20,000? 5%. And fabricating is what percent of the pie? 28.5%. Which means that these guys must be 66.5% of the pie, because all three of those then add up to 100. So HR is going to get 5% of the costs. Fabricating is going to get that percent of the cost. And assembly is going to get that percent of the cost. I'm going to double check. All right, $340,000, which is exactly what I was trying to pass out. Good. Okay, so that's how much each department gets of those costs. I have done with that one. I have passed out all those costs. Now HR bumped up a little bit. They started with only that much, but we added some more to it. So they have 177,000 total that they now need to pass down the line to whoever's left. And so here it was based on number of employees, which was 80 and 170, which is still 32% and 68%. So the same percentages that they were before, because the pie is the same. However, the pie itself is a little bit more. It's $177,000, whereas up here it was only $160,000. And this is where the math gets affected with the sequential method. And so that's what I would pass. Let's make sure that adds up to 177. All right, it is. So this one is done. That's all passed out to somebody else. So where am I left with? Fabricating started with that. I gave them some of those dollars, and I gave them some of those dollars. How do I make this a nice, pretty number? There, a little more readable. Okay, so then these are my final balances in each account because they got this money and they got this money. Okay, hopefully that helps a little bit. Try it a couple more times on paper maybe, and shoot me emails if you have any questions.